Ballots are still being counted in Plattsburgh this morning as we wait for the results to see who will serve as the city's next mayor. Republican Jim Calnan tells us he's optimistic that he will win. Right now, he's got 45% of the vote with 90% of wards reporting. Calnan is running against Democrat Mark Tipper and independent Chris Rosenquist in the race to replace Don Kasperzak. Calnan says numbers show a 350 vote lead over Rosenquist, but there are more than 600 absentee ballots that still need to be counted.
It looks very good. As I say, there's 603 absentees that were issued, and the margin that I'm ahead at the polls is a little bit less than that. So, won't be certain for a week, but it really looks very good.
Don Kasperzak has held this post for 6 terms, but he chose not to seek another. Voters in Vermont are saying no to a plan to build new fields at CVU High School. With a final tally of 1,900 to about 1,800 votes in Charlotte, Heinsberg, Shelburne, and Williston, they've rejected a $1.5 million bond to build 2 artificial turf fields at the school. Instead, the athletes will continue to use the 7 grass playing fields. Burlington Airport is now offering a new direct flight from BTV to Orlando. Allegiant Air made the announcement on Tuesday that flight will connect at the Orlando Sanford Airport. The low-cost airline says they're here to bring affordable travel to Vermonters, not steal passengers away from other companies.
We're not here to take any customers away from any carriers. We're here to offer a brand new service, complete with your hotel reservations, your car rentals, really your complete Florida vacation.
Those flights start at $66 one way. The airline says they will see how the initial flights go and consider adding more flights in the future.
And if you're sticking around here in Vermont today, not too bad weather-wise. We're warming things up a bit.
Florida-like with our 40 degrees.
Florida weather, like the coldest day in Florida ever.
Voters along the East Coast took to the polls on Tuesday. There were some surprises and some obvious winners. Anne Marie Green tells us all about it in our World Watch.
2 governors' races highlighted election night in parts of the country. In New Jersey, Governor Chris Christie cruised to re-election with bipartisan support. Christie's win in a largely Democratic state helps boost his profile for a potential presidential run in 2016. In Virginia, Democrat Terry McAuliffe narrowly pulled out a victory over Ken Cuccinelli. The Republican challenger attempted to make the election a referendum on the Affordable Care Act. New York City voters have elected a Democrat to be their mayor for the first time since 1989. Bill de Blasio cruised to an easy victory over Republican Joe Lhota. De Blasio campaigned on the issue of income inequality. He says the gap between rich and poor has become too large. De Blasio will become the city's 109th mayor when he is sworn in on January 1st. And Toronto Mayor Rob Ford has admitted he smoked crack cocaine. Ford has been under pressure since last week when the police chief said he obtained video allegedly showing the mayor smoking the drug. Ford says he tried it once when he was...
It's a story we hear about all too often, kids going missing.
But tech developers hope the launch of a new app can help parents keep an eye on their kids even when they're not home. John Goyden created what he calls the Lassie Project app after hearing a story about a little girl in Colorado being abducted and murdered. It lets you map out your kid's route to school, to a local park, even to a friend's house, and then track them on their cell phone. If they veer off track, mom and dad get a notification.
So that's when the option of crowdsourcing kicks in. If a parent cannot reach the kid after they veer off their track, they can hit the escalate button, and that sends a notification to all the neighbors that someone's missing. They get a picture of the kid and where they were last seen. Goyden says he hopes that this technology can one day help save a life.
And we heard calls for technology just like this yesterday from Senator Chuck Schumer. He was talking about Avante, the young boy with autism in New York, currently missing, ran away from school. His family's been searching for weeks now trying to find him. This could come in handy in cases like that.
Right, and the kids these days, they all have cell phones, so this is a great way. And if they're not answering their phone, something could be wrong. And you brought up the concern about, well, Big Brother's going to be watching you. They know where you are. But it would be interesting to know had Abigail Hernandez maybe had this on her phone, if this search in New Hampshire would be going in a different direction.
Yeah, the FBI does say she was very active on her cell phone and on social media, except for the day she disappeared. Simply all stopped.
It's a nightmare, and if anything like this can help, it's definitely worth a try, that's for sure.
All right, and Gary, yesterday it was colder than today for sure. Welcome back this morning. We're now in day 3 of Pie Week. We started off the week savory, went to sweet yesterday if you're keeping track at home, and today we're going tart.
Yeah, so Ryan and Jessica from Barrio Bakery are here. You guys are based out of Burlington, and we reached out to you guys, and you said you wanted to try something tart this morning.
Yeah, we make tarts at the bakery. We're going to make a cranberry raspberry tart.
And a tart's basically a pie with no top.
Essentially, and I think tarts mostly have a shorter crust than a pie does, but without the top, you have room to make it look a little bit more elegant.
So you get to add some extra features in there.
You do, as long as you do it right.
All right,
So
let's do
Ryan's
this.
starting off with the dough.
All right. So
Any
this is-
secrets here?
Yeah, the secret is just don't get frustrated. No, tart dough is really simple, and I think that's one of the reasons we like to do it for the holidays, and I think it's good for home bakers because
Is it different than pie crust?
it's a lot different than it's mostly it's basically like a sugar cookie. So
like a giant
yeah,
sugar
it's a
cookie,
little
okay.
a little bit different, but for the most part you could use sugar cookie dough if you had to. So you know, kids can work with it. You don't have to worry about it getting, you know, keeping it cold like you know, it should be cold, but it's not crucial.
I heard hands off with the pie crust. Is it the same thing?
Yeah, no, not for this. This you don't have to worry about.
Mess around with it. All right, this one kind of pie dough.
So yeah, we'll just
Family
roll it
friendly.
out, and what you want to do is get it about 1/4 of an inch or 3/16 to 1/4 of an inch, but it doesn't really matter because if you like it thick, you can do it thick. And what we do is go about 1 inch wider than the pan,
Okay.
and
And you could just do this with a knife if you
you
didn't
can
have
do it
your
with a
fancy
knife, you can do
cutting
it with
tool.
a pizza roller, yeah. And if you're using a new tart shell, like if you go out and buy one, get a new tart pan, you probably want to spray it, but these are pretty well seasoned, so we're not going to spray it or anything, so it should be fine.
Excellent.
And then you can reserve this for, you know, kids to play with, or
Sure.
you could do a cutout for the top like we did there.
And that's what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
So if it cracks, it's not a big deal. Tart dough is really forgiving.
I love how
press it
forgiving
in.
this is right now. Like, even I could do this, yeah.
And what you want to do is pinch it into the sides, but not too much. You don't want to get it so it's difficult to get out once it bakes. Once it starts to heat up, it'll kind of slump into the crevices, so you'll get that nice fluted edge either way.
Okay,
So
what
just
we're
gently
talking about
press it in.
For filling today.
Yeah, filling.
So the filling here is a raspberry cranberry filling.
And it's really basic. It's sugar, cornstarch, orange juice, or you could use lemon juice, and we put a little bit of orange zest in it.
Really?
And
that's
then
it.
about a bag of cranberries.
It's about a pound, so I think, I don't know what the bags come in.
I
They're
only
probably
have
a
ever bought
pound.
them in a bag, so that's all I
Yeah.
know for measuring.
Yeah, but you're
And you
going
can
to...
use any fruit, really. Any berry is nice, and you can use fresh or frozen.
So it really is a simple recipe.
And you
It's
spread
very
it in.
kid-friendly. Yeah, you're going to par-bake this.
So you want to prick this first so that it doesn't bubble up in the oven, and then
And
How long
par-bake
that
this,
filling in
which is
for?
par-baked
like
right here.
10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You just
And
want
then
to
you
dry
just-
it up, basically.
Did you, and you, Jessica, you cut out these cute little cookies. Do you put
Yeah.
that in with when you're baking it?
Once this is par-baked, you put the filling right in there.
And it looks like a lot, but it's
It'll fill it all up.
And
It
burn off a
will,
little,
and
shrink
it-
cook off.
a
Yeah,
little bit.
exactly. And then you kind of go like that. And then you pop these cookies right on the top. You want to make a few more than this probably, but you
Yes.
can make it nice like
And this is
that.
we're seeing the final product right up here, and it is just absolutely beautiful, you
Yeah.
guys. What a great idea. So we're so happy to have you, and hopefully have you come back and teach us some more tart recipes
would love
another
to.
time.
Yeah.
All right, well, Jessica and Ryan from Barrio Bakery, thank you for being here. Everybody stay with us. Up next, we're going to take a look at today's headlines.
Yes, including the latest from the New Hampshire Supreme Court on what's happening on a potential death penalty case. The first. Here's what we're talking about in our headlines this Wednesday morning. GMO labeling. Now the Granite State is considering putting a sticker on modified foods.
A new methadone clinic opens today in Rutland.
And online search, a family using the web to help find their lost dog. I love this story.
Oh, yes, it's got a happy ending, my favorite stories. But before we get to all that, Gary's got a look at today's weather.
Kind of a happy ending to our weather today. We're going to end up warmer than we've been in a few days out there. Right now, here's what's going on outside. Skywatch 3 showing us a very pretty looking sunrise. We got a little clearing on the horizon, otherwise some clouds above. 48 our current temperature. We're one of the warmer spots, so a lot of spots in the 30s this morning. But we are going to warm up into the mid-50s today under partly sunny skies. Like yesterday, going to be a little breezy out there, so hang on to the old hats and toupees. Tether down Toto.
Always Toto.
It's nice we can actually see outside again, too, since the clocks changed. We can actually see
A
with
little brighter in the
Skywatch.
morning.
And then darker at night. So
Darker
good
nights
at
are
bed.
warm.
We're the only
Just
ones that
sleep.
like it.
Exactly. All right. Thanks, Gary.
A Vermont corrections officer is facing charges for helping smuggle pot into a Windsor jail. State police say 46-year-old Brett Jasinski would take the pot from Trisha Bellevaux, who was visiting her boyfriend, who was also an inmate. Jasinski would then take that pot and give it to Wesley Kidder, who is serving time at the Southeast State Correctional Center. Now all three of them will be cited into court. A Hartford man says he was not drinking while driving a bus full of kids. Kent Kelia pleaded not guilty to drunk driving, negligent operation, and reckless endangerment on Tuesday. Prosecutors say the 59-year-old was driving a group of kids from Bethel to Hartford when a paraeducator on the bus said Kelia was all over the road, so she called for help. A replacement driver came in and finished the route. Court documents show the bus company hired a private testing company to administer a breath test, and Kelia blew a .9199. He was fired. A Vermont native is back on the cover of Sports Illustrated for the second time this year. Rachel McGuire, who grew up in Rutland, was one of 3 Boston police officers captured in an iconic photo just seconds after the bombs went off at the Boston Marathon finish line. She's back on the cover of Sports Illustrated this month, and this time she's smiling with Big Papi. McGuire and her fellow officers joined the Red Sox MVP on Friday for a photo shoot at Fenway Park. Her family tells Channel 3 they're very proud of her, and they confirmed she is a Red Sox fan. They say they've displayed a Boston Strong ribbon on their home every day since the attack. A Burlington family had a hectic weekend trying to find their lost dog. Their Labrador Luna ran away on Friday night, and they spent the following days glued to the phone and the internet in hopes of finding her. They say Facebook is the reason they were reunited. Halloween weekend is scary enough, but for Luna the lab, it was extra spooky because she was separated from her family.
I was a wreck. I was just wanting to drive around and like search and start knocking on doors.
Luna was playing in the backyard when she ran off, and by the time the Hobbs noticed, she was long gone. The worst part, she wasn't wearing her collar because the jingling tags irritate her. Her family searched until it was too dark. Then they turned to the web for help. Michelle is a graphic designer, so she made this picture with Luna's information very quickly.
And I thought that would be a good way to distribute it so that they could not only see her face, but actually read her description.
They reached out to police to see if anyone had turned her in, but they never heard back. So the web was where they focused most of their energy. Experts say these days it's the right move.
You're able to tap into a much larger network and able to reach so many more people much more immediately than you might otherwise have with a poster that might be on one street in one neighborhood.
The Hobbs also alerted all the local vets and kennels.
Encouraging people to share it really works, and I definitely do it when I see it, especially someone close by that I know, and it's been an immediate thing that I really want to get the word out there.
Cue the fateful twist. A friend of the Hobbs was at a party talking about how Luna was missing when another couple there said someone had turned in a dog just like that at a local shelter. The social media presence helped confirm the good news.
My friend had seen her picture on Facebook and was able to show the people she was talking to the dog.
Facebook Lost and Found, Craigslist, and Front Porch Forum are all useful tools. The Hobbs say there's no such thing as too much help. To make sure this doesn't happen again, the Hobbs plan to get Luna a new collar that doesn't jingle when she walks, and to install some fencing in their backyard so that she can still have fun but stay home.
Always great to get to report good news. And you were saying this sort of like the dog was found pretty early on, that they just didn't know it?
Yeah, the police found her about an hour after she went missing, but just some failed communication between the family and the police department. They didn't know that she was there. So luckily she was safe the whole weekend, but they, of course, were a nervous wreck.
Yeah, understandably so. All right.
We're still waiting on official word to find out who will be Plattsburgh's next mayor. The polls closed last night, and the last count had Republican Jim Calnan in the lead to replace Don Kasperzak. But his lead is only about 350 votes, and there are some 600 absentee ballots that still need to be counted.
Voters vetoed turf playing fields at Champlain Valley Union High School, where the final tally only about 100 votes apart. Voters in Charlotte, Hinesburg, Shelburne, and Williston rejected a $1.5 million bond to build 2 artificial turf fields at the school. That means athletes will continue to use their 7 grass playing fields.
Taking a look at some of the races capturing national attention, New Yorkers chose Bill de Blasio as mayor, electing the first Democrat to the job since 1989. He takes over for outgoing mayor Michael Bloomberg.
And Boston has a new mayor for the first time in decades. State Rep Marty Walsh edged out a win over fellow Democrat John Conley. Walsh succeeds the city's longest-serving mayor, Tom Menino. Menino says he now wants to work in fixing education.
I believe that's Marty, right? Well, in the big race for governor, Republican Chris Christie captured 60% of the vote in New Jersey. In Virginia, Democrat Terry McAuliffe narrowly won the state's election.
A new methadone clinic opens today in Rutland. The West Ridge Center for Addiction Recovery at the Howe Center will initially treat 40 patients with opiate addictions, but the program's director says the goal is to have some 400 patients in treatment by the end of the year.
A new carrier is landing at Burlington's airport. Allegiant Air says it will start flying from Burlington to Orlando's Sanford Airport. The low-cost airline says now is the time to bring affordable travel